Welcome to the first Greater Boston real estate update of 2024. And guys, we're not wasting any time. We're going to dive right in. Big time investor Meredith Whitney is predicting a decline in real estate prices in 2024, but it's not for the reasons that you think. She says there's what's called a silver tsunami coming for the real estate market. So what does that mean? Well, 10,000 Americans per day are turning 65 years old, and this is expected to continue until 2030. According to the AARP, 51% of people who are age 50 and over have already downsized their home. The remaining portion of that population owns about 30 million properties in the United States. Now, why is this important, you're asking? Because at 65, the retirement age, people decide to make big life changes. And a lot of times that means making a move. They might want to go to a warmer climate. They might want to downsize because they're going to be traveling more. They don't need the property. Maybe they want to move closer to their family or their grandkids, or a variety of reasons. So Meredith Whitney believes there could be a huge influx of inventory that's going to hit the market with all these baby boomers selling their properties. And she doesn't think there's going to be the demand to match that inventory that's coming on, and the fact that mortgage rates are still on the higher end. So she sees supply going up, demand not being able to match that, therefore prices declining. This could be a very realistic scenario, but I don't see it making a drastic effect on the market in 2024. I think, especially here in the greater Boston area, locally there's so much pent-up demand that if more supply did come onto the market, it would be absorbed very quickly, especially with mortgage rates now in the mid sixes. Some lenders even have programs in the low sixes and high fives. And with how few homes sold in 2023, I think it was the lowest total number of homes sold at least in the last 18 years. And I just know personally there's people who are waiting to buy, and there's just nothing on the market right now. But what did happen with prices here locally in the suburbs and in the city? Well, let's take a look. Early last year, I thought that the majority of towns would be somewhere in the down 5% to up 5% on their home values from 22 to 23. About 60%, actually exactly 60% of the top 50 towns were in that range. 62% of Boston suburbs increased their home prices from 22 to 23, with the biggest gainers being Manchester, Essex, and Lynnfield, Massachusetts. However, 38% of towns did see a decline, but really only 8 towns out of those 50 saw a decline of more than 5%. The biggest, we don't want to say losers, but the biggest decliners in 2023 were Lincoln, Somerville, and Weston. Here's what the top 10 towns look like. With not much movement, you have Manchester jumping up, Lincoln jumping out, and then Concord sliding into the bottom of the list and Needham sliding out. If you want the full top 50 list, click on the contact information in the description below and I can email it to you. But what about the city of Boston and the condo market? Well, I think it actually did better than the suburbs. The only places that declined, and these are very, very small declines as you can see by the chart, were Beacon Hill and Brookline. Everywhere else was either flat, had small gains, or a couple areas had massive gains. The reason those couple of areas like Brighton and Midtown had huge gains were because new buildings got brought onto the market and significantly raised the bar for condo prices, especially in Midtown. We had the Millennium Residences at Winthrop Center finish construction and begin sales last spring. This is an incredible building. You have office spaces on the lower portion. Then you have 56,000 square feet of amenity space, including a 75-foot indoor lap pool, and then awesome, beautiful luxury condos on the top portion of the building with some of the best views in the entire city. And guys, quick reminder, I am a local realtor with Caldwell Banker. If you have more specific questions that you want to talk about your goals for housing in 2024, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can do it through the contact link in the description. As far as what do I think will happen with home values and home prices in 2024, well, I'm going to roll this video right here because it sums it up as well as I could say it. Take a look.
Everyone who buys a house between basically December 1st and February 28th, you're going to look at those people the same way you looked at people who bought houses at the beginning of COVID. you're going to look back and be like, damn it. Why wasn't I that smart? Why was I so scared? What was I thinking again? You're going to look back with tons of regret, because I believe anybody who buys a house right now is going to get the best deal you're going to see in years. There's no competition. And the second that these rates drop, you're going to see millions of buyers jump onto the market, and housing prices will never be the same.
Now that's just one man's opinion, but what are some of the big companies predicting for 2024? Well, the Mortgage Bankers Association, Wells Fargo, Fannie Mae, and a list of others are all predicting home prices to increase again in 2024. Zillow is giving a prediction of home prices being flat, but Morgan Stanley is predicting a decline in 3%. Now, why is that? They think that as the supply will increase, there won't be enough demand to meet it, and then prices will have to fall in order for people to afford to buy them. I honestly don't believe this theory at all. It doesn't make sense. Belmont, Mass. has one home for sale right now. Swampscott, Mass. one home. Winthrop, Mass. one home. Boxborough, Mass. one home. That's just a couple towns I checked. They literally have one single family home for sale right now. Morgan Stanley themselves said that the supply would only increase at the margins. So if a handful of more homes came on, I think they would get snatched up so quickly with the amount of pent up demand and how low the inventory is. And then there'd be a line of people waiting out the door, looking around for the next home to come on. However, there could be a wild card to change all of this.
Tell me more.
Multifamily housing is expected to reach the highest level since Richard Nixon was our president, or 50 years ago. There is expected to be over 600,000 new rental apartments hitting the market this year. So how does this affect the sales? Well, because of so much rental inventory, that those builders are going to have to provide incentives, or they'll have to reduce rent overall because there's so much supply on the market. And that is going to make renting very, very enticing. It's going to pluck some of those potential first-time home buyers, or maybe even downsizers, from buying a home and instead renting an apartment, because currently you can get basically the equivalent apartment renting for a lower cost than if you were to buy it, if you're factoring size, square footage, finishes, all of that sort. But the majority of these multifamily developments are happening in the Sunbelt area, like Phoenix, Dallas, Austin, and Nashville. So I honestly don't see it being a factor here in the Northeast, and especially in the Boston area. Circling back to that video that I played with the commentary, anecdotally, we bought our current house in 2020, and since that time, its value has increased 32% in just 3 years. And since rates dropped from the 8s to the mid 6s in December, I've had 3 people reach out saying that they want to make moves in real estate this year. So I can't imagine what is going to happen when rates drop down to the 5s. Actually, I do know what's going to happen, especially for buyers. And this video right here is what's going to help you land your dream home amongst the sea of competition.